the show.
For Thursday, May 25th, 2017. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. This is only a test. Welcome to the 400th episode of This is Only a Test. I can't believe we've been doing this for 400 years already, guys.
It's amazing.
It's been so long.
You look good.
Yeah. I've been consuming planets, and timing-wise, it's also this week the 40th anniversary of Star Wars.
Yeah, May the 25th be with you.
Is it actually on May 20? Yeah. May 25th, 2017, 400th episodes of This Is Only a Test and 40 years of Star Wars. It was meant to be. That's when the convergence happened.
What's your first Star Wars memory?
Watching Return of the Jedi VHS on my parents' bed when they rented it from a warehouse.
Your parent? Oh, okay. I thought they rented the bed.
No,
I remember the ads
VHS,
for The Warehouse.
The Warehouse. That's
Yeah.
right. No, I never saw Star Wars in theaters until the re-release.
That was like a Blockbuster back in the day?
Yes.
The Warehouse?
And it was spelled W-H-E-R-E.
Yeah, it was
House.
edgier.
And you had points, and we had lots of VHS rental points.
And the person in the ad stuck like this.
You don't actually know.
How you guys
this, right?
doing?
I don't remember.
Wait.
Wait. What was your first Star Wars memory, Jeremy?
Well, my mom took me to see Star Wars in the theater, but I was only 3, so I don't remember it that well. But I think my first memory.
So it was more of a priority for them. They wanted to see the movie, and they had a kid that they needed to. They didn't want to pay for babysitter.
Respect Jeremy's parents.
My first memory was probably Empire, and I remember sitting in the theater, and this guy behind us throughout the film kept saying, "Use the Force, Luke."
That's amazing.
Oh, what's the equivalent of that these days for a movie?
I mean, he wasn't
like
a heckler.
watching Spider-Man and saying, "With great power." Come on, Peter, with great power. Think about your responsibilities.
My story is similar to that. The first one I remember seeing in the theater was Jedi. I think I was 6, and I went with my brother and sister, who were 7 and 10 years older than me, respectively. And I jumped out into the aisle during the last lightsaber battle and said, "Get him, Luke." I didn't say it.
serious?
I yelled it.
Wow, like it was a performance.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know what? Luke got him.
Yeah.
But then he chose not to finish the job.
Well, he did what was right.
Yep.
He followed his heart and the Force, the ways of the Force. And then, what was your first This Is Only a Test memory, guys?
Jesus. I think it was like the 3rd episode, and I remember watching this guy behind me I keep saying, "Use the Force, Norm."
That guy was Will.
Yeah.
How long have you've been on since probably show 100, Jeremy?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't recall.
I was a
sub.
I was a sub. I was like a guest who would come on every now and then.
Yeah, when Gary couldn't do it and increase it more frequently, he couldn't do it.
No, I think no one else could come. And so it's like, okay, I was available.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't remember the first time I was on. I think it was an accident.
Well, no, I think it was you volunteered to be on after Will left, and you said, "Norm, I got some tech chops."
Oh, did I say it that way?
I got some surprise tech chops that you might not know about, and said, "Okay, we'll try this out." And
that's proved not to be true.
Yeah. And I will say that my first This Is Only a Test memory is Will sending me a message on AIM Instant Messenger and saying, "We got to record a podcast for our new website. What do you want to call it?" And we had boiled down to 2 options.
That's good.
This is not a test, and this is only a test. And I think we chose the right one. This is not a test. I don't think would have worked as well.
It's negative.
Yeah, this is only a test. It's a little more earnest, a little more humble. This is only a test, or this is just a test. This is only a test. I think ended up working better.
Thank you for the nostalgia section of the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, we could do one more nostalgia question.
Oh, bring it.
Do you have a favorite memory from This Is Only a Test? History.
Oh, I mean, it's got to be the most famous memory, of course, is Gary's Jedi Training Academy rant. I don't think we ever topped that. That's the most well-known. People took the audio clip and made sound bites with it. We used to have a poster that we sold for our members that had memes from the show. Fighting raccoons. We got a bag of raccoons. Sack of raccoons was a big thing.
I have Gary Whitta's rant. Someone isolated it.
Overall at Disneyland is Jedi Training Academy.
Let's listen to it.
That is shit.
I've never seen that at Disney World.
I just wish they would let grown-ups do it. It's wasted on these fucking kids.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
You know, they pick these little kids out of the audience and they give them plastic lightsabers, and these guys dressed up as Jedis, you know, play it. Yes, well done, Padawan. And,
right.
And then right as they get into
obviously
the training,
someone deleted the planet from the archives.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Darth Vader shows up, like a full-size Darth
like a really
Vader.
tall guy?
Yeah.
Like the fucking stage
7 foot tall. Yeah, the whole stage lifts up.
I don't know how much more of
there's
this we
smoke
want.
coming out.
You guys can find it. Gary probably doesn't want that surface on the internet.
What are you talking about? It's on YouTube.
I know it's on YouTube.
You can't erase this stuff.
I gotta say, though, my favorite memory. So when memes, we had the what would you rather. We had a series. We did a whole series of episodes where we had listeners ask would you rather questions at the show. And for people who only recently listen to us, we used to have a whole segment, fake show, or it was not. It wasn't called fake show notes. It was the fake outro. Where after the show, we'd have another hour of conversation. Yeah. Like we'd go through all the topic lists and literally go through another hour of conversation after the show.
Okay.
And that's what people stayed for. We got no time for that.
So
we put that in the front of the show now.
Wait.
all the BS comes in the beginning.
Are you saying the show was shorter then?
No, it was like 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's crazy.
Total. Yeah. And then we had other memes like Will's Christmas tree, him fighting squirrels. A lot of him like in animals. Him in nature didn't really go well. That's why I guess
Still
we're tech
true.
guys. Yeah. My favorite memory, though, probably doing the show live at PAX was really nice. Yeah, and of course, Oktobercast. Oktobercast was probably the standout memory, whatever I remember of it. But doing that 3 times, 24-hour, and feeling like, death at the end of it was something special.
I could feel Veronica Belmont slap through
That's
the
right.
Oktobercast.
Yeah.
She slapped you?
She slapped
for charity.
I thought she slapped Will.
She slapped Will. Yes, I think that was the case.
hard to
I think
remember.
Adam slapped me. It might have been on one of them. Again, for charity.
I'm glad
It's
we're
all
beyond
all
that.
for the kids. I know. No one wants to get slapped anymore. But here's another 400 episodes. Oh, we'll make it to 500 at least, right? You got to go for another arbitrary milestone.
Will there be another Oktobercast?
That is a question we still get asked. I'll never say never.
All right.
So why are you saying no then?
No, I mean
Because we can't stay up 24 hours?
Can either of you devote the 24 hours? Would your families allow it?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, probably.
Oh my God! Are we announcing an Oktobercast?
No.
I'd say let's do it. We got months to plan. All right,
All
here we go.
We're committing.
Here we go. We're committing. This October will be the return. None of this Oktobercast in April business. This October, the return of Oktobercast will come.
Yeah, but be gentle because we're old.
Yeah, and let's do it beginning of October, like before the crazy Bay Area Science Festival stuff consumes your
Sure.
life, which is basically Oktobercast for you.
Yeah.
You're working 24 hours nonstop anyway, sure.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I might as well do it on while somebody's recording.
Maybe because we'd like to do a live show again in the fall. Maybe we start the live show, or we end the 24th hour of Oktobercast as the live show.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
I know.
For the
I know.
in theater.
We'll bring 1,000 people into an auditorium to watch us record the 24th hour of our charity live stream podcast.
We'll just be sweaty and tired, and people will be like,
People
"Wow,
will love it.
I'm reconsidering.
Yeah. I know. All right. So what's been going on this week? What have you guys been doing?
I'm excellent." I've been doing a lot of testing of some cooking equipment.
Oh,
Jeremy?
we'll be talking about that. Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing really super special. My 3D printer's busted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wanted to fix it up. I wanted to get a new stuff, and now it's all broken.
Well, you mean
you need the
after-
upgrade?
Yeah, after your story last week of cutting holes in the aluminum side of it.
I still
to
haven't put
do-
it back together. Yeah.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Well, this Monday we did a visit to the boosted board or I'm sorry, the one wheel factory. I have electric vehicles.
They're gonna love that.
Yeah, I know. The one wheel offices. I guess not their. It wasn't their factory.
Do people know what one wheel is?
Yeah. So we did a segment on our live show, and this is the reason I got confused last year. We're all fascinated with these last mile people movers, electric vehicles that you ride on. We didn't do bicycles, but there are a couple of them. There's the one wheel. There's the boosted board. There's the Segway Mini Pro. And well, Jeremy, you own a boosted board. Adam loves the one wheel, and it's a gyro-stabilized skateboard on a single go-kart wheel.
A big fat wheel. Yeah. So the whole thing will stand upright because the wheel is that big.
Yeah,
and it can go like 15 to 17 miles an hour.
New ones go almost 20.
Adam can only stably go about 14. We found out.
We did find out.
Yeah, but that's one of the things they improved about the new ones. Like we went down to the factory and we got
oh
to
really?
see this. Yeah.
Like the top speed is better. Or
top speed is much better. It's up closer to 20 miles an hour,
Wow.
and they maintain torque at that speed so that you don't fall forward.
Oh, so you
Right.
got up to that speed?
No,
Oh, no, we didn't.
we didn't even ride it. But that's just what they're claiming. They've already shipped out to all the pre-orders, and now they're saying there's about a month pre-order for weight.
Yeah, June or so is when they'll be shipping. But it was cool to learn about their prototyping process, their testing processes, the fact that right now in manufacturing they have a big 6 foot tall dude that pushes the wheel onto the tire onto their motor.
Their whole business structure, their whole business plan relies on this employee.
One dude who can just push the tire onto the motor, which is apparently not easy. They have a rig that does it now. Yeah, they've built one. And then this past Tuesday, I was down in UC Santa Cruz, back in Santa Cruz again, and I did a talk at UCSC.
Oh yeah,
for,
how'd
a
that
film
go?
studies class.
What was the topic?
It was the class was a film studies, introduction to film studies, and I was a guest speaker just to talk about making videos online and on YouTube and on other platforms, and it was great. There were some a few people there who had heard of Tested, and someone actually ran in to the class at the end of the class, and it wasn't their class, but they heard through the Vine.
Norman Chan was on campus?
Someone from Tested was on campus
Wow.
to say hi.
It wasn't Kishore.
Yeah, they'd been hoping for Sean.
I've been auditing classes at UCSC just for this purpose of meeting Norman Chan one day in a film studies class, but it didn't work out.
And the kids asked some great questions.
Were you stumped ever?
I tried. I mean, there were definitely some really good questions, some very general questions about where I thought media was going and where and yeah, there's definitely some good questions about like, you know, where things might be in 3 years, how people consume things. And the thing I told them was that the people in that classroom, they know where the puck is going. Like the idea that when, you know, the Wayne Gretzky quote about don't skate where the puck is, but where the puck is going doesn't really apply. I think it's almost a bad analogy because, you know, in hockey, and I'm sorry to speak for hockey, Kishore, the puck is propelled by a force, an outside force, and and I think where we want to be isn't where someone's pushing, it's where the puck is attracted to, and in this case, that's where the audience is. That's where media is going to be. It's not where one producer or one platform wants to push the puck to be. It's where the people want to consume that media. And so those students in that room know where the puck is going better than me or anyone here because they're the people. They're the attracting force that's consuming the media in new and interesting ways.
I'm pretty sure pinball and science is all that's going to dominate the landscape in a few years. So they're not the only ones that have their fingers on the pulse.
Yeah, but it was a great talk. I also last week was
Listen
a
to
guest.
this guy.
I know.
It was a great talk.
It was a fun talk for me.
Okay.
It was a very fun. It was a great experience. The
My
talk
review-
was a great experience.
My review,
Yeah.
excellent.
Oh no,
5 stars.
This is the second time I'd done this, and last time, so there was like I've been so far out of college. In college, there was, like I said, a program called Yik Yak that students use, and they like it's an online app-based forum for them to discuss classes and sections.
This is
and
like Rate My Professors kind of thing.
maybe, I don't know exactly, but the professors are also on it. So the professor who I was there for was checking the Yik Yak thread for the class I did, and then there were a couple topics. Class didn't suck today. I got
That
the
is a
screenshot.
very
And I was
strong
like, wow,
review.
All right, class didn't suck today. And I'm gonna hold that. Put that in my box art.
Absolutely.
And last week I was a guest with Ars Technica. They do Ars Technica Live in Oakland, and it was again very similar conversation about the current state of media, and for them, creating a website and also dipping their toes in video and what that means.
I actually listened to that because I subscribe to their podcast. This is Annalee Newitt's friend of the pod.
She's been on the pod.
Yeah.
She's been
her
on
live show. Yeah, and it was interesting. They asked you all sorts of questions about media, and it's like, hey, Norm thinks about this stuff.
It's kind of all I think about.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this past weekend was Maker Faire. Should we jump into our first official section?
Sure, we can
do
do
it.
that. Yep, absolutely. Let's do that.
All right. I don't know if it qualifies as pop culture, but we're going to put it there. Maker Faire was this weekend.
It's pop culture now.
It is, absolutely. In the same way that, Comic-Con isn't about comics, it's about pop culture. Maker Faire, in the Bay Area, in our community at least, is the popular culture.
Yes.
And
So I didn't actually go. Like scheduling and kid stuff got in the way. Can I ask you questions about Maker Faire?
absolutely.
And do a recap that way.
Yes.
So we got to talk about the American entry into the monster robot competition first and foremost.
Yeah. So the Megabots team debuted their Mark III robot at Maker Faire, and I think Maker Faire was the first place they debuted the Mark I, even Mark I or II, a couple of years ago, one that Will got into, and this looked incredible. We had visited their factory, their big warehouse where they make and fabricate this giant machine. And Simone and I went there late last year, and they had put two giant blades on it, and it was, they were still getting a bunch of things ready. It wasn't moving really, wasn't mobile. And the one they had at Maker Faire, they didn't move it around a lot, but it had punching action. And so it didn't have the blades, had arms, and they had decked it out to be basically an American flag. I don't know if you saw photos.
I saw photos. It
Red,
has this
white,
eagle.
and blue, and this polygonal eagle that's on its shoulder, and it looked gorgeous. Yeah, they were punching a Prius. They were punching a car.
And this is like a mech style robot where somebody's actually in a cockpit inside the mech, right?
Yep.
And they're
It's
controlling that
Battletech.
punching action.
Totally. 2 pilots inside, one for navigation, one for weapon systems.
Really?
Yeah.
And
It has giant guns on one of the arms, right? That shoot
giant pneumatic.
paintballs or
Yeah,
something?
exactly. Yeah, they shot cars last time with the Mark I, and the Mark III. I think they were demonstrating the arms this time, and people who had supported their video series on Kickstarter also got to claim their reward of punching a car in their robot. It's not complete yet, I think, and I think they were still building up to that big duel with the Japanese robot.
Has the Japanese unveiled their robot yet?
I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, they have a YouTube series that really documents all the testing and all this fabrication that goes into making this machine. It's a beautiful series. You guys should check it out also. But yeah, they were a big attraction at Maker Faire.
Now I desperately want to punch a Prius. I feel like that should just be a thing.
Yeah.
Favorite new piece of hardware that you might have run into?
Oh,
Ooh, I can do that one.
Yeah.
There's a Prusa 3D printer. I don't know why I'm a 3D printer kick today, but there's a 4-color 3D printer that works really well. I was super impressed, and it uses one hot end for it. And so they have 4 different filaments that you roll straight into the same hot end, and it then uses a separate block on the print bed in order to prime every color before it comes out. So it takes longer, but the 4 colors are solid. I mean, they are beautiful. And
Can you make other colors then, potentially?
no,
by
you can't
mixing?
mix them. Like, that would be interesting, right? If you could actually RGB it and make whatever color you wanted.
right.
Maybe that's the future.
I think
So-
I saw this last year, and it was pretty impressive.
So last year was Last year was an external system that works into. So there are a couple ways you can do multicolor 3D printing, right? One way is to have many hot ends, and basically each hot end is a different. Like, think of an inkjet printer. Instead of, you can have on the high end inkjet printers, you have 3 different heads, RGB, and they do mix, right? But if you're talking about materials, you can't really mix that, but you could have as many heads as colors as you wanted. And last year, the thing we saw was a stitching piece of hardware that took different spools.
That's right.
And would actually cut off the ends of the filament, time it perfectly, and fuse them together into one strand, which would then get fed into the stepper motor and through the hot end of any printer that you attach it to. With the Prusa, this is an upgrade to their i3, which is, I think it was Mig Magazine's one of their best rated printer last year, the home desktop printer, 3D printer last year. And like Jeremy said, up to four different colors, so 4 different materials, just 4 different types of filament that can go in there, 1.75 millimeter, and it all funnels through to the same head. So the head is the interesting thing.
Norm suggested one of those colors could be a dissolvable material so that you could use it for your supports, and suddenly you've got 3 colors plus supports that are dissolvable, which if you print the right thing, would be
That's
phenomenal.
Cool.
I mean, phenomenal. And I got to tell you, like, the print quality is fantastic. Each color is clear, crisp. You know, doesn't get weird because it just started a new color. Whatever they're doing, they're doing a good job.
And that's how you would qualify it, right? Because if it's all coming through the same hose at the end, if you in your software mismatch or if there's bleeding of one color and another, it smears into the print. And they were showing very complex figurines that had very defined color shapes within the single model.
It reminds me of 1983 or whenever, when we finally got 4-color graphics. You know, we went from monochrome in the 70s and early 80s to finally 4-color on the PC. CGA. Now, I guess next is 16 colors.
Right, but the problem is that the software, because to get 4 colors into a model, it's not like you can load up an OBJ or STL file and highlight and say, I want red, green, and blue here. You actually have to split them into different STL files.
Yeah.
With the same
Right
starting
now.
origin point. Yeah.
So
Until somebody develops the software that can do it on the fly.
Right.
Well, yeah. The problem is, if you get a 3D printer that just does single color stuff, there's a whole internet full of things to print. You go out in Thingiverse, you download whatever you want.
Yeah.
With this, you're gonna have to make it yourself.
What was the emerging trend you saw? So like 5 years ago, we would have said like 3D printing was coming on the scene. Last year, it felt like laser cutters were all the rage.
Well, at least the word was there. I mean, we saw Glowforge was there this year. Full Spectrum was there showing off their Muse. Glowforge, I believe, is shipping production units now, and they had a ton of them. You know, it's a real thing. It exists. We've obviously had one in our shop and been testing their software. This year, I think CNCs are really starting to become, you know, from desktop CNCs to big workshop CNCs that you have to assemble, are in all different form factors, right? You know, we had the Maslow people come in. It was an upright CNC. We chatted with a company called Goliath that makes a CNC router that sits on top of a robot that, you know, rolls around essentially, and it still exerts that same force down on a sheet of plywood, and a bunch of enclosed CNCs that you could like swap heads for cutting, milling into aluminum, or even put a plasma cutter on it.
I saw several things that were geared towards education. But I was looking into BASIC recently because that's how I learned. You know, the acronym BASIC for that programming language, because I wanted to show it to my kids. And you just can't easily come across that anymore. But here at Maker Faire, there's somebody who's made a board, an actual PCB that plugs into a monitor and boots straight to a BASIC prompt. And you can just type away and, you know, 10 print Kishore 20 go to 10 and fill the screen with it. But then I realized why it had disappeared because I looked at some of their example BASIC code, and there's just better alternatives now. But it's cool that it's out there, and I like that somebody's making that. There's also a ton of portable handheld devices, Game Boy style things that run Arduino, and they've built ground up learning languages for kids to learn how to do simple programming.
And my last question is, was there anything, you know, really surprising, a conversation that just sort of came out of nowhere? I think I remember 2 years ago, just like one of the people from Vive was down with like lighthouses. Like I think Alan Yates, I think, was just like had a random booth with lighthouses in it. That's like very Maker Faire for just something surprising, somebody to show up with something.
Yeah, I don't
Is
know
there
about
anything like that?
I don't know about surprising. We had 2 really great conversations. One was with Eric Heller, who designs 3D printed car engines.
That video was amazing.
At 1/3 scale, yeah. And we actually, even after we turned the cameras off. We were just chatting with him about his designing process because it was a chance to see these engines in person, and also many of these he hadn't actually released online yet. But just to pick his brain about how he actually goes and with calipers does individual measurements on cars and then scales them down, sketches them out, and then designs them in CAD, which is awesome. And then also we met this kid Jack Turner who he had a booth with his dad, and it's very easy to assume oftentimes when you see a booth that's a family, right, that it's it's the parents' project and then the kids are there to help. But this was a kid named Jack Turner who is obsessed with Showbiz Pizza animatronics. And
what?
He and this is all him. It wasn't his dad. His dad's like a software guy, like a database guy, not a hardware engineer.
Wait.
But this 14-year-old kid.
You have to define what Showbiz Pizza animatronics is.
So most of you probably heard of Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
Right. And Chuck E. Cheese was West Coast, I think, and I think Showbiz Pizza was East Coast. I'm not sure exactly how
they're all over.
They're all over the place, right? And one bought the other. But Showbiz Pizza was like a Chuck E. Cheese style pizza place that was also family fun entertainment, and they had, like Disney currently has the Jamboree, animatronic animals playing songs as part of the amusement, the attraction.
I remember the bear. That was, I think, the lead singer.
Yep. And so Showbiz Pizza no longer exists, and the animatronics that were at these restaurants they pop up occasionally on auction sites and private collectors. And Jack and his father were able to buy 2 of the animatronics, and he has now himself restored them to play music. And he talked about how he wanted to keep it, it's all compressed air. He had rebuilt the tubes out, and he had 2 controllers. He feeds in a song and a MIDI file for the movements, and he can program movements.
Compressed air, really?
Yeah.
I would think it would be servos.
It's all pneumatics.
It's all pneumatics.
What?
Yeah.
I have a friend who literally got hired as an Imagineer because he did that and put it on YouTube.
Wow.
So exactly what you described, MIDI files linked with movement mechanics.
Yeah.
And
so this is like this kid's going to be an Imagineer.
Yeah,
in the
clearly
future.
this kid's got a
Yeah,
job if he wants it.
Yeah, it was so impressive. It was one of those it's so delightful just to chat with him. That video is going up, I think, over the weekend. But it was such a striking thing to see these, and it wasn't even fully. So they had the bear. I forget its name, and it was fully dressed and playing the banjo. But they also had the second robot that didn't have the skin on, which was even more striking, seeing the eyeballs roll around.
Oh, my God.
Very like Five Nights
Nightmare.
at Freddy's. Kids love this stuff apparently these days. That's very, very popular. I'm not super into it, but it looked great. He said he wanted to create his own character.
That's cool.
Yeah. I guess that was Maker Faire. We saw a ton of stuff. A bunch of videos are on the site. We actually had people who showed at Maker Faire come by our studio last week and bring some of their products. So that stuff's on the site too. Jammer, you built the help assemble the monolith synthesizer.
That's right. Yeah. So TNC was there with a presence at the Kickstarter booth, and they brought along. Last year, Paul, the guy who designed TNC, he brought along a guitar that he'd made using a microcontroller, which is very cool. But he incorporated that now as a third of a larger instrument that is a full-fledged synthesizer with a sequencer and all kinds of stuff. And they built that, and then we got to build it here at Tested, and then they drove it down there. And it looks like a lot of people were having a lot of fun with that. It was a good thing to bring.
I should have asked, did you buy any kits or anything that you're going to build
I
with?
tried to. I really did. I walked around.
It's not always easy.
I wanted to pick something up, but nothing caught my eye. I did see one interesting piece of art that I liked, which was this guy takes fractals, and he breaks it into 3 dimensions, and then he laser cuts them. The layers of them, and then then you have basically like a shadow box depth. Wall hung art that is made of multiple layers of laser cut plywood and alternating shades of tone, and it's beautiful. It was really cool. It was a good use of fractals and 3D and laser cutting, but I didn't pick that up. I was kind of on the fence.
Yeah, yeah, again, so much stuff. I did pick up a few kits. Tiny Circuits was there. They had their tiny arcade cabinet and a new little LED lightsaber type thing, so I picked that up. But definitely made notes of many websites to visit afterward, pick stuff up. I didn't want to have anything in my hands. It was a very hot day also.
Didn't Glowforge, they are still committing to 2 months from now?
Didn't get specific dates from them, and I don't know if they're even saying yet. But all they said most recently is that they have started shipping some production units.
That's news.
So that is absolutely something different.
A lot of people at their booth.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, talking about trends, I think we're going to see laser cutters come back as another, in the future as being a very popular thing. I also think we're going to see vacuum formers be maybe a thing that pops up as a dedicated area.
Were pretty rare at Maker Faire just 2 years ago.
And they were rare this year too, but I've seen more Kickstarters for those. So maybe as those Kickstarters come and start getting manufactured and prototype, they'll be shown at Maker Fairs.
That's cool. Hey, so this episode's a listener choice episode. So
Yes.
we have a lot of stuff to fire through that the listeners wanted to
Do you want
hear.
to cut the listeners out of the equation at this point?
Yeah.
No. I
There's-
mean,
They're
we'll
still
just
changing things.
we'll call out what they
All right.
what they did.
Okay.
First listener request came in to talk about Last Jedi, the new images that came.
That's right.
Oh, I could finally talk about this. We have Joey in the office this week, and I had to bite my tongue the whole time we were filming this morning because I could not talk about Last Jedi. So this is a Vanity Fair. Annie Leibovitz, she did portraits for the actors when The Force Awakens came out. I bought it from the supermarket because the photos are so great. I'm going to look for these in the supermarket again. But you have the covers, which show the main cast.
There's multiple covers.
Yes.
There's one of Princess Leia. There's how many covers? Like probably 4.
4 covers.
Yeah.
There's one that's the one that's getting a lot of attention is the Princess Leia one or
The General Leia.
General Leia.
The-
Carrie Fisher wearing its amazing cloak.
The one with her and Mark Hamill is heartbreaking to look
well,
at. It's beautiful.
They're holding each other, and then there's also photos of Rey and Luke. There's photos of Poe Dameron and Finn, and also a new character, Rose Tico, I believe.
I think this is the first time I saw Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma without her helmet on.
Yes, which isn't to say that's how she'll be in the movie, because this is clearly just for the cover shoot, but they also had the villains, Kylo Ren, General Hux, who looks even more sinister than ever, and Gwendolyn Christie looking amazing with her grimace and her look.
Yep.
Shout out to General Hux for taking the #1 spot in punchable face category. Just amazing how I hate him from this image. I just want to punch him in the face.
I took it upon myself not to read the story because I don't want to get spoiled at this point, but the images are so striking here. And there's Benicio del Toro and Laura Dern, who are those look like the characters in this photo shoot do not look like they come out of a Star Wars film. I don't know if you guys agree. Most of the costuming and the lighting they have a Renaissance painting look.
They look too polished in a way?
No, they look almost...
You're talking about these photos. Like
the
this,
photos.
The style of the photos.
Yeah, it could just be the style of the photos, but they have this photo scene of that highlights the creature shop, and I guess there's a new location that's going to be featured in the movie that's they're not the Mos Eisley Cantina, but some collection of aliens that get together without giving too much away.
Some wretched hive.
But it's not a wretched hive. It is just a collection of aliens, but they're all very poshly dressed. And
it is a little more high society.
Yes, and
Star Wars.
It's like the Admiral Akbar wearing the Lord Nelson's uniform, that portrait that Adam has and loves. The characters in these photos look like they've come out of that style of painting, I love it. I love that it doesn't scream out the exact same Star Wars that we got with The Force Awakens.
I suspect that's how the photography was done more so than how the film is going to look. I think they can't get away from that sort of rough around the edges Star Wars
I
ness.
think you could still have rough around the edges. Like you look at the photo of Benicio del Toro, and in the background you have the kind of steampunky, lived-in universe stuff. And I don't think it's going to be a clean, but Rian Johnson brings in his cinematographer, and he's going to shoot it his way. You got glimpses of that, I guess, in the first teaser trailer, and I'm excited for the look that he's going to bring. The style he's going to bring to Star Wars. I mean,
this shot of the 3 of them. You mentioned General Hux and you mentioned Captain Phasma. You didn't mention Kylo Ren so much. Does he not do it for you so much?
I know Kylo Ren is kids love Kylo Ren.
Do they?
You have a kid who loves Kylo Ren.
Well, from what I understand from the toy manufacturers is they thought Kylo Ren was going to be the bomb. So they stocked up on everything Kylo Ren, but everybody ended up wanting, what's her name?
Rey. And there was no Rey. There was no Rey
exactly.
toy. Yeah.
Helmet on.
Helmet off.
Helmet on Kylo Ren is great. Helmet off. It's
It's
less
it's a
enthused.
little emo.
It's emo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they moved the scar, which is that was the big thing with the first teaser
Right.
trailer, because the scar looked really bad the way he was scarred up at the end of the first film. So they had to move it to cover.
There's
his
enough
eye.
regenerative medicine in Star Wars for
Yeah.
him to get a nice fix on that
I think the
scar.
apologetics was like that. He had himself with the regenerative medicine, to remove the scar, but he wanted to have a scar so bad that he moved it himself to cover his eye.
If only there was a Science of Star Wars show that could
I
explain
know.
all this stuff.
Yeah, somebody's
Wondering.
gonna have to get on that.
40 years. Come on. Where is it? The photos are great. I think that issue is out now, so I'm going to pick it up, and it's something I'll probably read after the movie comes out. It'll be a long wait. Put it on my shelf for 6 months.
Is this the first Star Wars with a new actor playing Chewbacca?
Well, I think they split duties in the last film.
Oh, yeah?
But the mantle has been passed.
Okay.
And it is a new Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just like it's a new R2 as well.
Yeah.
True.
Though Anthony Daniels still rocking the C-3PO.
That's right. That's right.
Give it up.
Seriously. Sounds
Awesome.
like torture.
All right.
The thing I'll take away from these is that, even in the last film, they weren't in that movies that much. R2
No.
and C-3PO weren't in the films. They were bit parts.
Yeah.
I imagine they have a much more comfortable time than the 70s Tunisian desert kind of shots they had.
We are
40
so
years ago.
lucky they aren't CG at this point.
This is
Honestly,
true.
they would have been like the easiest thing to make CG would be robots.
Fair enough.
There were the robots. The robots were CG in the third one and the second one.
All right. All right. It's great. You should check it out. Ready for listener choice number 2?
Yes, for pop culture.
Game of Thrones trailer.
Game of Thrones season 7 trailer is out. I actually have not watched it.
Oh,
Me too, because I'm not up to season.
I
6
watched
yet.
it, and I don't really like the show that much.
I love the show, and I don't want to watch it because I want it fresh.
I will say I won't spoil much. The theme is war is coming,
Yeah.
which is a theme we knew was coming
It's
before.
been coming for 7
and
years.
we saw all the players talk about, basically in scenes that reference war is coming. This seems like it's less talking and political intrigue and more fighting. Fighty time is what we're up to. The trailer is a bunch of people fighting.
Is this the final season?
No, there's one more season
Okay.
after this, but they are both shortened seasons. Very much in like the Breaking Bad vein, where they broke on Mad Men. They broke the last season in 2 halves to give them more time for production.
Not that like I expect a lot of people to die. Like, because there is
Really?
like, not that that's not a Game of Thrones trope to begin with.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of weaponized action in this that tells me some people are going to bite it pretty quickly.
If you made it this far, you basically made it to the end. It's like making it to 89.
Totally. I
not
mean,
making
I
it
think
to
by the
90.
end of the last season, people were feeling like the things were culminating. You felt the culmination of sorts, but you also felt the inevitability of the winter, the beyond the political bickering that makes up so much of the show. There's these White Walkers that are coming.
I want to see more of them. They've been sitting outside that wall for a long time. Let's get going.
They got a big army.
Yeah, but what are they doing? It's cold.
Yeah.
They don't feel it.
Spider-Man Homecoming final trailer came out. Did you see it?
Do not care for watch that trailer. The last
Ouch.
trailer was plenty. I know I'm going to watch the movie, but
Okay.
I just don't need this trailer. I've seen too much of this film already.
My comment to you is you are correct. You did not need to see this trailer.
Yeah.
The previous trailer is all you need. This wasn't a bad trailer or anything else like that. I actually kind of almost prefer this trailer versus the previous trailer, but it's out of, like, I already got the other one.
Yep.
This one adds nothing to it. Spider-Man, super likable. Spider-Man, teenager. It's great. Did you see the poster?
Oh God.
Jeez,
Yeah.
what
wow.
happened?
I wonder which team was it? The Sony team or the Marvel Studios team that designed that? It is a classic example of an over-cluttered poster. I mean, it's also a little reminiscent of the very first Iron Man poster. Big heads, an arrangement, an assortment of heads, right? A sampler, a Whitman sampler of heads. And
It was basically like, are you above the 20th credit in this movie? Let's put you in the poster.
yeah,
Awful.
mix some blues and some oranges, and you got a poster. I guess here it's a lot of red as well. Yeah.
All right, we got a couple video game things to wrap up.
Okay.
Far Cry 5 was announced.
Yeah, set in the South.
Yeah, the American South.
Yeah, they announced this also with a box cover art, and it's all just like the Spider-Man poster. It has become ripe for parody and for photoshopping,
It's a very Last Supper-esque pose, and it looks like the center character looks like Sherlock Holmes from Elementary, that show on CBS.
Johnny Lee Miller.
Yes, looks exactly like him. He's wearing
Crash Override.
He's wearing blue blockers for some reason.
I think they got really enamored with their villain in the last Far Cry. The villain really made the game, so they're going to want to make a great villain in the 5th one. I think it's interesting bringing it to America. Far Cry is become like it's an anthology series now. Do you remember the first Far Cry? The first Far Cry was a Crytek game. It was pre-Crysis. It was Crytek's first kind of semi-wide corridor open world shooter. Looked beautiful, and it was one of the best action games ever made, the first Far Cry. And then Far Cry 2, completely different. That wasn't Crytek. Crytek left after Far Cry. I mean, Crytek, Crysis.
Same engine.
Not the same engine.
They use CryEngine for everything, right?
No. Crytek took CryEngine and made Crysis.
Yeah.
Crysis was Far Cry 2.
I thought they licensed it. Okay.
And then Far Cry 2, I might be right, or I might be wrong. Far Cry 2 was the in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people loved it. It was I think a huge success as well.
If you like that kind of game, a lot of
Open world.
micromanaging.
A lot of traveling also.
I never played Far Cry. Not my series.
I didn't like it that much either.
Last video game thing, Grand Theft Auto Horse 2 got delayed till April 2018.
Red Dead Redemption?
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's what they call it.
Yeah, but didn't they show a little bit? Did they show more posters, or were they screenshots?
All I heard was
there's more
delayed to
imagery.
2018.
Yeah. Well, fine. Take your time.
What? You're so forgiving.
Oh, you got to be with video games. You never want to rush video games. That's the problem. They all think they got to get it out sooner. You got to wait till it's done.
Now, do you think they delayed it because of Westworld?
No, they delayed it because they weren't ready to ship it. They don't. Yeah, totally.
I think that Westworld. I don't think they changed the game because of it, but the timing could be such that when Westworld comes back, I mean, watching Westworld made me want to play Red Dead Redemption.
That's interesting.
And when Westworld comes back again, maybe that's a great time. Western's back into pop. It's tough to sell a Western, I think, to a modern audience.
This is not a game that's going to need much help.
Yeah, it's Rockstar. People love the first one.
Especially because it's a sequel. There's already buzz behind it.
All right, fair enough. I think that's it for pop culture.
Really? Okay.
All right. We have new Microsoft news. Actually, I'm going to jump ahead and talk about the new Surface Pro, which I think is actually interesting. This is I was a big fan of the Surface Pro 3 and Surface Pro 4. I use actually the Surface Book. But Microsoft did not announce the Surface Pro 5, and it's been over a year and a half. So in China, they had an event, and they announced the new Surface Pro. Not calling it number 5. I don't know if this is the thing going forward, but it's slightly thinner. It has the new 7th Gen Intel Core processors. But really, the big thing is it has 13 hours of battery life. You've got to take that with a grain of salt. That's going to be using video playback using their video tool, is how they measure that. So 13 hours of video playback decoded using the Movies app in Windows.
As long as I don't have to use the Groove music player.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then the new pen. So it's a new Surface Pen with many times the pressure sensitivity. There's actually tilt detection in the pen. This one, the
cool.
Surface Pro starts at $800 for an M3 model. It's kind of absurd because to get a model that I would want to use as a daily computing machine, which would be the i5 with 256 gigs of storage, you have to pay $1,300. And so they jump from $800 as the quote-unquote entry-level price, but that's an M3 with 128, all the way to an i5 with 256, which I would say is the standard, and that's $1,300, which makes it a premium laptop at that point. And you still got to buy the keyboard, and you also still have to buy the pen. The pen is now no longer included with the Surface Pro. It's $100 you have to pay afterward.
Is the pen backwards compatible with the last one?
They say yes, but they did not say in which way. And that would maybe based on a firmware update. So you may get, for example, the tilt sensitivity in the pen if you once the firmware comes out and you make that work with the Surface Pro 4 or the Surface Book, but you may not get the increased pressure sensitivity because that could be built into the digitizer on the screen.
How
They
about
haven't clarified about that.
Right.
I saw the kickstand can angle more. Do you care about that?
I don't, because the old kickstand went real far already. Yeah, I don't know how much further it could go to make it more useful than what the Surface Pro 4 did.
No USB-C on this thing?
Yeah, it's still their proprietary port for data, and I know, and power. It is a fanless design for the Core i3 and the M3 and the i5 models, and not having that fan. It helps save some power and some noise. The i7 models has a small fan built into it.
What do you mean? There's no USB jack on it?
There is a single USB jack on it, just like on the other Surfaces, but you can also plug it into a dock that you can pay for.
Got it.
Yeah. Let me jump around. There's a lot of tech news that got submitted via the users. Oh,
The listeners, I think this is a technology podcast.
yeah,
or
I know.
something.
We got to talk about Bitcoin.
Are you ready for the apology?
Wait a minute. Wasn't this at like $500?
Well, I bought it at $600,
Okay.
and that was 2014.
And then it went down.
And then down. It went down from $600 to about $300. At which point I'm like, oh, let it ride all the way down. There was at one point I was willing to trade a Bitcoin in for a PS4 because it was $300 and it could have gone lower. Newegg was taking, buy your PS4 with Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, I might as well buy it, spend it. But then thankfully, as people at the podcast know, I held on to it. And at the beginning of this year, it went up to $1,000, and that is the mark I sold it at, $1,000. I'm like, I made $400. That's like $100 a year.
Pretty good return.
It's a good return, and then Bitcoin has only gone up since. So it is now, the value of Bitcoin is $2,570 as of this podcast recording.
It was up to $2,800.
Oh my God!
And then it dropped $300 before the end of the day in trading.
Wow.
That volatility,
scary.
people chewed me out in the comments about this, but that volatility freaks me out.
So what's the stat that they said? Like if you at the right time, of course, like stocks, there's no time travel. It's all hindsight. If you at Bitcoin in 2010, the year we started this podcast, bought one Bitcoin or $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, that $1,000 worth of Bitcoin would be $35 million today.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. Oh,
I think
well.
you could say that about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
The volatility still scares the crap out of me.
What do you mean it scares you?
Because like anything that goes up and down that much is not like from a long-term investment standpoint, which is where most of my money kind of resides. Like this feels like terrifying.
You're saying
the roller coaster of this.
You're saying you wouldn't put all your money in Bitcoin. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say
that's smooth. That's a good idea. But how about 1% of your wealth? Would you do that?
I don't know. I'm still a little gun shy about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It freaks me out that it went from how long ago was that podcast where we were like sell, sell, sell? That was only like a month or two ago, right?
3 months ago.
3 months.
Yeah.
And it's more than doubled in
2.5
value.
times. That's right.
See, I mean,
I'm sorry, at Norm's Bitcoin.
I'm sure that there are stocks that have done the same thing.
Yes.
They're just
Penny stocks.
They're not called Bitcoin. They're not this weird non-government sanctioned currency.
That doesn't bother me. It's just purely the volatility.
Yeah.
Because I know myself where I'll be like, I'll just hold on a little more. And then like it'll
You shouldn't go to Vegas. Right?
Yeah, but like if it's like going up and down like $300-400 a day on certain days, that's terrifying.
It hasn't crashed yet.
Well,
It's impressive.
Right?
it's gone way up and way down.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's an interesting phenomenon.
Another interesting phenomenon that we've been tracking, well, it's of course the story of AI versus human Go players. This is it. This is the this is AlphaGo, Google's neural net player, Go player, and the computer played what is the world's #1 Go player?
Yeah,
Chinese Go player KG.
KG.
that's right.
In a 3-round match, live streamed. You watched some of this, Jeremy.
Well, they've only done the first round, and that was on Tuesday night, Tuesday U.S. time. And so 1 year ago was the match between him and Lee Sedol that we all talked about. Lee Sedol is also a very highly ranked Go player, 9 Dan, I think they call the top rank, and he famously lost the tournament. And now 6 months later, this was interesting. I don't know if we talked much about this. AlphaGo secretly went on to online Go tournaments.
Whoa, the creator of AlphaGo, DeepMind.
DeepMind, yes. Well, yeah, whatever. I mean,
sure.
I'm not saying AlphaGo
The
figured
sci-
out how to get on the internet.
I got to play more. They have me doing this medical stuff and playing Jeopardy. I want us to play more Go. Search Go web gambling online services.
Well,
Yahoo Go.
It used a pseudonym when it went online.
What was this? What was this?
Master. Okay.
Just Master.
Master. It was like Master.
That is terrifying.
I wonder if in the Go community people were discussing about this new player Master.
Well, in this tournament, like in this online series, they did. Like they said, "Who is this?" And a lot of people supposed this player's too good. This might be AlphaGo. And so they revealed after
and then they got their
tournament,
pitchforks and shotguns and hunted the AI.
Master played 60 games, won every single one of them, including games against the what's his name? KG.
In this online tournament.
In the online tournament. Won all 60 games. And then they revealed that was AlphaGo.
Wow.
A new version of AlphaGo that they've called Master. So now 6 months later.
Normally, I'm on the side of AlphaGo. I am really uncomfortable that it called itself Master.
Exactly. I'm not sure they asked it what it wanted to be called.
It's like Planet of the Apes. They created a robot arm for AlphaGo, put it in a dictionary, and say, leave your finger of what your name wanted to be. And it's flipped to the M section, Master.
What's funny, though, is
Caesar.
Is that now that they're doing this match, and AlphaGo won the first game, the commentator who does all of these this live streams, I think his name is Michael Redman, he refers to AlphaGo now as Master. So when he's talking about the game and what's playing out, he's like, when Master moved the black stone here, it made a lot of sense. Like he's now referring to him as Master, as if he's some subject.
This is even more unsettling.
Exactly, and
humanity's already given up.
That's right. Now we refer to the overlords as Master. But it was interesting to hear him give a pregame too about how the Go community has already adopted strategies from AlphaGo.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That moves that they used to think were not just taboo but just stupid. They now realize there's an intelligence behind them, and they now have human players now already are adopting new moves that are that have never made it into the whatever it is 4,000-year history of Go.
Wow.
I think what's impressive about this is the quotes from KG after the match was that he felt like he played about as good as he can ever play.
Yeah.
And still lost.
No regrets. And this is and also the update is that AlphaGo has won two out of 3. It's done. It was best of 3.
What's the last? Oh, it's already Thursday. You're right. Yep.
So
it's done.
AlphaGo played perfectly and that's it. The humans have lost.
There's no.
When we exit the room, we gotta then sign our human registration papers. For Master.
400 episodes was a good run, guys.
I liked when KG went and sat down and he bowed to AlphaGo's avatar.
Oh, that's right, the avatar system. Oh,
as if like that guy has any importance whatsoever.
And then the avatar said, "No, I am not Master. This computer bank here is Master."
So he took the laptop and like made it bow a little bit.
Oh my God.
He did.
Are you serious? No.
That would have been amazing.
This is a surface book. It does not bow. It's quite a deep bow. How was it watching this tournament online with the commentating and the way they recorded it? Like, what was the pacing like? Because you watched for hours.
A couple hours, yeah. I mean, it's hard to call it riveting, but they do a good job. This time around, they were assuming a little bit more Go knowledge than with Lee Sedol. So I would have preferred breaking down a few of the moves. I just found it interesting to hear that how much the humans have already learned from the AI.
So we're going to go from AI computing to drone news. DJI.
Hey, it's Thursday, so DJI has probably come out with a new product.
Oh, they have. Oh, yes, they have. Yeah. In New York, they had another announcement. What was it? The Mavic was like couple months ago.
It was a few months ago.
months
Right?
ago,
It wasn't this year, was it?
It was late last year.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I assumed, having just come out with a brand new product, that they would be iterating one of their existing products.
That's right. They'd alternate. Now they have
Yeah.
before this week they had the Mavic, they had the Phantom line, and then they had the Inspire line, and of course there the Matrice line and their other higher ends. Now they've entered another line that's below the Mavic. It's called the Spark, the DJI Spark. It is another very portable quadcopter with no folding props. So
Starts
it's
at
fixed props.
$500.
$500. And its big thing is more computer vision, so it can be controlled with gestures. But of course, you can control it with an app or with a transmitter. It doesn't do 4K. Yeah, I know exactly. And so it's full HD, it's 1080p video, 12 megapixel still camera, and my question, because we haven't flown it yet, is how stable this quad is at this size with this powerful of a flight system and these motors for high altitude. Is this flying basically in a park, or is this what people use these camera-equipped drones to do and to fly above buildings?
That's
and
not
get
what
these
this is for.
landscapes? This is not for that.
No.
I think this is for photographs, like having somebody track you on water skiing, or if you're mountain climbing, or if you're just going through a park. This is for photographs.
You haven't always been super impressed with the software tracking for the Follow,
Yeah,
which
I've
seems to be
never-
a big selling point of this.
Yeah, and you know, if I think a lot of it's on expectation, right? So if you have follow tracking for a bigger quadcopter, a Phantom, then you're going to expect that it's going to be powerful enough to follow you if you're on a bicycle, which it can kind of do, and the Mavic as well. With a smaller quad, and you're using it in a smaller area, 60 minutes of battery life. Maybe it's more about following you as you're walking, and again, it depends on the environment.
And the other thing is, these guys iterate hardware so fast. You've got to assume that they're iterating the software as well. So you got to try out the new code.
I think the gesture stuff is interesting. I'm not sure how functional it'll be in practice.
You know, when I look at this price point and this size, I don't think it's a cheap quad, even though it's like half the price of a Phantom, because it's a different class. It's an entry-level quadcopter, and for me, an entry-level quad to learn flying a quad, $500 is actually very expensive.
And that's without a controller.
Without a transmitter. You have to use the gesture or the app.
Yeah, and the app is not a pleasant experience.
No, the Mavic had a system where you toggled it for Wi-Fi, for app control, and that looked like it was sound like a robust feature, but actually what it meant is that they could get away with selling a version without a transmitter. And I would always want to use a dedicated transmitter.
Yeah, and the transmitter is great. It just costs, an extra $300 or $200?
I don't think that expensive.
There is a SKU of this that's $799, I think.
Yeah, $200.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Next Thursday we'll be here. There'll be a new drone.
You know, maybe you want to spend your money on a different type of robot. Maybe a robot with a face, a personality.
Do you have one in mind?
Ka-chow! You mean that kind of face?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so have you guys watched this video? It's the world's greatest Lightning Mcqueen. What are they calling it? The ultimate Lightning Mcqueen, made by Sphero.
Yeah, so Sphero, obviously hugely successful with its partnership with Disney, with the BB-8 released 2 years ago now. At first, when I saw this, I didn't understand how could they use their Sphero technology in a cars.
I'm still not sure. Does it use Sphero technology?
I don't know.
I think they're just good robotics.
Yeah. So what is it has 4 wheels, but what is its what is its?
Yeah,
it's a car, right? And a face. Don't open it up; its brains will spill out.
Yeah. So imagine the Lightning McQueen from Cars and trying to recreate that and all of the nuance that would take in order to bring that animated thing to life. And they did it. It does all that. It has a light. It has a windshield that appears to be an LCD screen.
That's the thing. That you can create expressions with the screen on the windshield.
That's true, but it also obviously makes sound. But I think crucially, it also bobs and sways. It leans. When you turn left, the whole car leans left. When you turn right, it leans right.
Some like active suspension system.
Yeah, but
for
not
personality.
Not in a car kind of sense, but in a cartoon kind of sense. And it also can spin out, and when it stops, the wheels run backwards. The whole thing looks like it was animated.
Oh, its mouth moves up and down too in the grill.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it actually makes facial expressions.
So the trade-off is it costs $300.
I know.
Yeah,
the kids love cars.
I mean, do you remember how big of a run and Sphero BB-8 had? Do you think this is going to have that same traction?
I don't think so.
Spiro BB-8 was $150, half this price.
No, it was more than that.
It was 180,
Yeah.
something like that. But it
Yeah, the
was
Sphere BB-8 was it tapped into so much. Like the new character, of course, adults bought it. I don't see a lot of adults buying this, if not for their kids.
this thing is still pretty cool.
It's
though.
great, but I know if I were to get it, it would be great for an afternoon. It would start collecting dust.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they'll sell them.
So of course they'll do the thing where it can watch the movie along with you, and it'll play some custom sounds, animations. I want to see a version of this that can take on the voice to speech, the voice to text or text to speech programming. So you can input a string of text and have it read out something and animate its face, or just a WAV file, an audio file, right? Like like in video games, give the character an audio file and its mouth will move to make it look like it's saying that audio. If they could adapt that for its loose animation here, I would pick it up right away.
But would it always be Owen Wilson's voice coming out? Because no thanks.
Yeah, I mean, no. Let you drop in your own audio file and puppet it with with some programming. Let me. So who here? You guys use Android, right?
I use Android.
So Android was the brainchild of Andy Rubin, and Andy Rubin created Android and sold to Google. He actually left Google. Android's become its own thing, and he has a new smartphone company that may be announcing their new smartphone on May 30th. The company's called Essential, and Andy Rubin is scheduled to speak at the Recode conference on May 30th. So that may be the day that he announces his new smartphone. Now, why would we be even interested in a non Android smartphone, even if it's from the guy who created Android in the first place? Well, they've teased a picture of the phone, and the bezel of the phone looks like there is no bezel at all.
It's not just that.
This is an old picture, This came
I've
out.
seen this.
a
Yeah,
while
no,
ago.
yeah.
Did you see the camera on this thing?
What do you mean? Did you see the camera?
There was another tweet that came out from Andy Rubin in April that seemed to indicate the camera would be able to do 360 degrees. Like 360 video.
In one shot? You mean in what, video?
No, like it might have either an
an
add-on
attachment. Yeah,
or
so
something to
not,
do
Yeah.
360 video,
Okay. That's interesting.
which would be really interesting for a phone.
I think that's a big bet for them. I mean, it's not too difficult for a Motorola or, for even Google themselves to create a USB attachment that can shoot 360 video. So I don't know if that's going to be a big selling point to anchor a product feature on that when they don't control the distribution platforms for 360 video. That's all controlled by Facebook. It's not that interesting to me.
It's an Android phone, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, without distribution, I'm just not impressed that something big is coming.
You're curious, though, right?
Oh, I'm totally curious.
All right.
I can't wait. There's nothing much to say right now because nothing's been revealed yet.
All right. Any other bits of technology news that you guys want to cover from this week's listener's choice?
No.
Yeah. No. Now
it's time for a moment of science.
Do you want to go in? I didn't know you had.
No, let's go. Let's go.
All right.
So one listener request question was talking about the legal battle around CRISPR, which is the gene editing technology. So I'm going to try to explain it in a way that a lawyer explained it to me.
Whoa.
No.
Yes.
That's interesting.
No.
Eli 5, my friend.
Yeah, well, this is close. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a gene editing technology, and there were 2 patents put on it, and they were contested in court. One from UC Berkeley, one from the Broad Institute from MIT and Harvard. So the UC Berkeley group essentially said, we made the first cookie.
Oh, all right. I'm with you.
All right?
Yeah.
And that cookie is going to transform all of biology because people like cookies. They're going to eat them, and they're going to do interesting stuff with cookies.
I'm with you.
All right.
Okay.
MIT came along and was like, you know what we got here? Chocolate chip cookies. and went to court and said chocolate chip cookies are fundamentally different from cookies, and they represent a progress in cookies that not just anyone would have thought of. And Berkeley argued the other way, that any normal biologist would have seen the blending of chocolate and cookies together to make chocolate
We are
chip
literally
cookies.
talking about cookies. These are not analogies for things.
Yeah, well, they're kind of analogies. I mean, it is the legal argument that was made. Was basically the original CRISPR patent was done on bacteria and viruses. And then the one from MIT was done in eukaryotes, higher beings like plants and animals.
Got it.
And so they're saying, even though that is, novel and different, it's not an extension that somebody wouldn't have thought of from the original patent. Judges totally ruled in favor of MIT. Chocolate chip cookies
Are different.
are different, and not just anyone would have come up with it.
These are two great things that go great together.
And it was sort of a hinted at based off of some of the initial arguments. Berkeley still considering a repeal. What this did was there's billions of dollars at stake for the licensing of this patent out. And so all of these companies that the person that pulled the patent, Feng Zheng, had invested in, Editas Therapeutics being chief among them, when the ruling came out, their stock price jumped, 45% in a day. That's like almost Bitcoin level of growth. So there's a lot of money at stake. An appeal is coming. There's also a lot of concerns from so first of all, the biology community doesn't agree. They feel like Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier, who made that cookie, are the originators of the technology.
Question: Do they really not? Do they care about? They don't care about the financial implications, right?
Who doesn't care about the financial implications?
I would think anyone who's
These professors have stakes in these companies.
Yeah.
And the universities get a licensing fee.
No, I understand that Berkeley cares about it.
Yeah.
But you're saying that the larger community has an opinion on this.
Well, I think there's more of a moral opinion on it from the larger community.
That's my question.
Then there's also...
Do they trust Berkeley more than they trust MIT with this technology?
It's not that. I mean, there's been accusations of sexism and all sorts of other things. I think that's sort of cloudy here. I think what's more important is that it also sets precedent for future efforts, too. Now, if you say, like, chocolate oatmeal cookie, is that something new and going to give you, like, a new patent on this technology? That this was only developed in 2012. And, like, we're here a few years later, and virtually every biological lab is using this technology now. It's revolutionary.
Did a jury make this decision?
It's a 3-panel board of judges, patent judges, that the process has.
All right.
I think it's definitely going to get appealed. I think the thing to look for that's more interesting from biology, when I've talked to certain biologists, they've said, this is for something called CRISPR-Cas9, this specific pathway. It's like, don't be surprised if somebody comes up with, CRISPR-Cas10. Just a different pathway that does this whole editing thing. But if you actually want to hear this question answered, I'm interviewing Jennifer Doudna, the originator of the cookie, in a few weeks here in San Francisco at City Arts and Lectures. And guess what I'm going to ask her? Wow. I'm not going to talk to her about cookies at all, but I'm definitely going to talk to her about this issue.
Yeah.
Pretty significantly.
Don't be afraid to dumb it down a little bit.
You think
cookie analogy
was not far enough?
I mean, when you get up there with the big leagues, I don't want you to get you have to impress them with how scientific you are. You still got to help us understand it.
When I turn on the radio at 3 a.m. and listen to City Arts as its second rebroadcast, I want to hear good questions.
First of all, Norm, it's on at 2.
I only listened to the last 5 minutes.
Second of all, Jeremy, I just spent 10 minutes talking about cookies.
And you just promised me you wouldn't do that there, and I'm telling you, don't be afraid.
I need Brian to bring me some chocolate chip cookies.
I think I have to come up with a better analogy. But the cookie thing actually kind of works.
All right.
There's only, I'll just do one other really short one. A listener asked if I've read Neil deGrasse Tyson's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. I have. It's not that good. There we go.
Wow.
Damn.
Burn. You got to give a recommendation, though. You can't say that. Someone asked you, basically asking what are your thoughts on a good astrophysics for beginners book.
Oh,
that's what they were really asking.
Oh, I'm not reading between the lines. I'm taking very literal interpretation.
Oh, okay.
I have to think about that for a second. Yeah, I'll come back to you.
Do you believe Neil deGrasse Tyson is a good science communicator?
Oh, I think he's excellent. This isn't a reflection on my feelings towards Neil at all. I just think it's these like kind of vignettes, and I prefer more like story to everything. And it's like these like really short little pieces.
I'm just helping you out.
All right.
You're gonna get some Twitter feeds about this.
Oh no. Oh no, I said I didn't love astrophysics in a hurry. Does anyone ever say anything bad about Neil deGrasse Tyson on social media? Oh no, I'm in trouble. I think I'm done.
Are we done?
I think
You're done with science.
I've hurt the cookie industry and the astrophysics community.
Didn't I
enough.
I submitted a story about
What did you submit?
There's a sun that's acting weird again.
Oh, we got to talk about alien megastructures, don't we?
Alien,
whoa,
that's it.
whoa.
That's it, right?
Yes.
All right, hang
Alien.
on. This is a whole
Hold
thing.
on. Before Kishore dives into talking about alien megastructures, I do want to thank the sponsor of this week's episode of This Is Only a Test, and that is a company called Proper Cloth. They make dress shirts, and we all know that finding a dress shirt can be hard, whether the collar is too tight or the sleeves are too long. Something can always be off. Well, luckily, finding a custom fit shirt has never been easier thanks to Proper Cloth. At propercloth.com, you can easily create a custom shirt size in seconds, answering 10 easy questions, and it's a foolproof process. You don't even need measuring tape. Plus, they have over 500 different fabric styles, including premium Italian and Japanese fabrics, as well as business and casual styles, all starting at around $85. They guarantee a perfect fit, meaning if if your shirt doesn't fit perfectly, they'll remake it for free. And it's one of the highest rated custom shirt makers on Google. So stop wearing shirts that don't fit and start looking best with a custom fitted shirt. Go to propercloth.com/test and use the gift code TEST, T-E-S-T, to save $20 off of your first shirt. Again, you can get a custom fitted shirt. All you gotta do is fill out a survey with about 10 questions, and they'll find something that fits you. And check it out today, and thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
All right. Okay, first, Black Hole Blues by Jan 11 about gravitational waves. Excellent story-driven narrative approach to astrophysics. Okay. Alien megastructure. So in 2011, there are unusual light patterns emanating from a star called KIC 8462852,
Catchy.
otherwise called as Tabby's star. And when I say unusual light patterns, they noticed a big dip in the light coming from the star.
Now, I imagine we see these from many stars, no?
Yeah, we've seen dimming from stars for various reasons. Planets coming in front of them, comets, other debris. And so as they examined this, the data from it, most of the people said like, oh, it's comet fragments or a big, very thick asteroid structure. But it all of a sudden went down. So it's a pretty rapid dimming.
It sounds to me like it had to have been a very large structure.
Yeah, so astronomer Jason Wright, I believe his name is, from Penn State, postulated back in 2011 that this is due to not comet fragments, but an alien megastructure. A set of things, like, can you imagine giant solar panels, like, in front of the star that would be flinging around it?
Yeah,
that would cause,
part of
like,
a Dyson sphere.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Scotty. Cause dimming. And here is a rendition for Jeremy to peruse of that alien megastructure.
How big are we talking about if we're talking about something that would actually be detected this far away?
Let's start with the sun. Is it a bigger sun than ours?
I don't know what
It's
the
gotta be
size of
bigger.
Tabby Star is.
It's got to be bigger.
I think for us to detect it like that.
I think Tabby Star is bigger. I have to look up how big it is. But while I'm doing that, why this is back in the news is a few weeks ago, the dimming started happening again. And they don't know why.
And they sounded the alert.
They sounded the alert to astronomers to take spectra of this to understand what it is, what's going on there.
So now every hobbyist with a telescope is pointed towards this star.
Every hobbyist? No. You have to have a pretty powerful telescope to be looking
listen
at
to
it.
you. Just
This is a pretty powerful. No, you can't do that from your home telescope. I want to support the TIOAT community as much as possible, but I don't think you can add to the literature about Tabby Star with your home telescope at this point. Sorry.
Wait, wasn't the guy who sounded the alert kind of a low-ranking kind of hobbyist kind of fellow?
Now who's hating on people?
What?
He's an astronomer at Penn State.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So he's got access to a nice one.
Yeah, exactly. I can't figure out my Googling's not working right now on how big Tabby Star is. I'll put it in the show notes.
So we don't want to jump to conclusions here, right?
Alien megastructures exist? Yeah, probably not.
Okay, so there are other possibilities, but we haven't seen this from any other star.
No, this is pretty weird.
Yeah.
We don't have an explanation for that.
I love it.
Well, we have one possible explanation.
Alien
megastructures.
You know,
all right. Norm's all in. Alien megastructures.
I'd ask Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he probably doesn't know. He doesn't know anything.
Whoa.
That's what he said.
That's not what he said.
That's what he said.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
All right. So, last week we talked about the new HTC Vive, meaning the Daydream phone that's also called the HTC Vive, or Daydream headset that's called the HTC Vive that the HTC is making, not using Steam VR. Well, HTC has another headset that was announced this week, and it was announced, it's called the HTC Link, and it was announced on a Japanese site. So it is... It's a headset that fits a phone, so it's not a standalone device. You need to put your phone in it, but apparently has 6 degrees of freedom movement. So some type of inside-out tracking that's built in. Not exactly sure exactly how it works.
Wait a minute. Another HTC phone? I mean, a headset?
Headset.
That's crazy.
Yeah, standalone.
I did not know this. It looks so it's outside in, the tracking, right?
Inside out.
It looks like... Well, is that right? So
No. You see, I guess, you're looking at a different picture. I guess it is outside in because you see a stereo camera in your picture. Yeah, I didn't see that. So, yeah, maybe outside in, but 6 degrees of tracking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if it looks like the controller has something on the end of it. I wonder if they're finally tracking that. There's 2 controllers, Norm. One for each hand. This is fascinating.
And it's still mobile. I think this year we're going to see wireless VR be a big thing. I mean, we're only halfway through the year, but by the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Really?
Wireless VR advances on the mobile space.
I know it's coming.
6 degree of freedom mobile VR. Yeah.
You think it's going to be 17, though? It's not going to be 2018 before we're going to see most of these hit the market? I feel like we'll get a lot of announcements.
Exactly. Announcements for that. And also technologies that are turning, current headsets wireless, like TPCast out this year. I think that's going to be a big deal if it works out right, or it'll be a flop and it'll mean the technology isn't ready. But we want to get to wireless, and I think it's maybe easier for us to solve the wireless solution with a self-contained inside-out tracking solution or a self-contained outside-in tracking solution, and with battery-powered or a wireless transmission system like TPCast, than it is to solve more difficult problems like haptics or field of view or screen resolution. And then out this week is the PS Aim. So Jimmy and I, we reviewed the PS Aim and the accompanying game Farpoint.
No one knows what the PS Aim is.
The PS Aim is the accessory for the accessory. It is the dedicated rifle controller for PSVR.
Yeah, so it's a VR gun for the PlayStation 4.
That's right.
Yeah, and it comes with Farpoint. Can you also get it all by itself?
You can.
How much is it?
I think you can get. I think it's like $50, so it's like a $20 difference.
So get the game with it.
Yeah, and if you buy on Amazon Prime, it's like 20% off or something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we both played the game. I'm a fan. It's a funny game because it's not even. Like the first hour is a little bit dull. You march through the game, and once you get to the first boss battle, things get very interesting, and the game becomes a lot more challenging. Different types of enemies appear. You find more weapons, and the enemies become. I mean, it really becomes a different kind of game. So I recommend if you get it, stick with it. If you have a PSVR, I say it's a definite buy.
I mean, my hope for this is that it will be a control that will suit games in the future. And I think the the game is fine as a launch game for this controller, but it's only interesting to me if developers are taking a look in the PlayStation community, and maybe I don't know if Sony's whether they're going to seed fund or they're going to like what this could have really used is a Super Scope style collection of mini games that made use of the ergonomics.
Does Super Scope have mini games?
Or just like
Is that what
like some Duck Hunt thing, like something that came with the controller that didn't necessarily need to be a full blown game, but more arcade style shooting experiments using the controller.
That's an interesting idea, like a collection of mini games that use this controller. I have no faith that this controller will have any kind of future because
you don't think it have legs? No.
No way. I mean, I would love it to because I enjoyed this game and I'd like to see it evolve. But I've never in my life seen a peripheral that didn't ship with the console be successful. This is a peripheral for the peripheral. This is an accessory for the accessory.
Say the same thing about touch. Touch is a
No,
peripheral
no.
for the peripheral for the
maybe
Rift.
that could be the exception.
No,
that proves
we
the rule.
always said from the beginning that touch needed to be there.
Yeah,
But it is they've
the thing is, like, you can't do that because Vive had the hand controllers and Oculus just needed to play catch up, and they did. And now there's parity, and that's a thing.
and the head start didn't do much for the Steam VR side because it didn't blossom the way everyone hoped. It was still too expensive.
Yeah, but everyone knew that Vive had the better experience because they had tracked hand controllers.
Initially, yeah.
So I mean, I just don't see this having a future, despite my hoping that it does.
No other manufacturer is going to put out a dedicated pistol accessory, a rifle accessory. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to make a really compelling arcade shooter. That there are many PSVR users out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are hundreds of thousands of them.
Great, it's going to be first party because there's no profit in this.
But do you think we need the right game? Like the awesome first-person shooter game, and then it'll be like branded and almost licensed out, like we see, like people use like Halo branded controllers and stuff.
Yeah, I think there needs to be the Overwatch for PSVR, the Overwatch for VR shooters, and it's not like the problem is multiplayer. There you can do multiplayer VR. It's not the adoption rate. There again, like I said, hundreds of thousands of people with PSVRs, and if a subset of those buy the killer app with this controller, then it has a foundation for something.
Jeremy's point still stands. It's never going to be that big.
Yeah,
Even given that like rosy scenario you paint.
I wonder since the PSVR is so much cheaper and they've had so much success, especially in Japan. I wonder if a multiplayer VR game is sustainable on that platform because we've seen on the PC it's not yet. There's just never enough people in the queues ready to play.
Yeah,
at any hour.
Well, it depends on the game. Like I think I don't think I've ever popped in the rec room and seen it empty.
It's free.
Free. That's a big appeal.
Yeah.
On the Oculus side, we have a 1.15 release, which is now finally taken off the beta tag for 360 tracking and room scale. So it now has full multi-sensor configuration support. It always worked, putting 3 sensors for 360 tracking, but now it's fully supported for sitting, standing, and they say room scale play modes.
Do either of you have 3 sensors?
I do have 3 sensors, but I only have 2 set up most of the time. Yeah. And I'm totally okay playing it facing forward. I used to have a lot of space in my office where I usually play. And then, do we want to talk about anything we have coming up on projections? I don't want to go into a full discussion into the things we've seen, but we have seen some AR demos, and we actually also most recently saw location-based VR experience.
When are we publishing that location-based thing?
It'll be in
3 weeks, 2 weeks,
3 weeks. Yeah, it'll be 3 episodes of projections away from now.
What does that mean? Does that mean you went somewhere, or VR that you move around, it changes?
We went somewhere where they have an installation, and it's fantastic. And we didn't. It's not the Void.
We didn't go see the Void. We'd love to see the Void.
We would
you
love
go
to see the Void.
Did you go to Dave and Buster's?
Star Wars pod.
Somewhere in between those two.
Well, I do want to talk about it. If you don't want to spoil it, let's wait till you're back.
Well, we can definitely talk about it. Because we did talk in depth and we did a long interview for the episode. But we saw an experience. It's been announced already. It's called Nomadic. Full disclosure, we were hooked up through this experience because we know someone who works there, someone who used to work at ILM, and we got to go through their demo, which they're showing at conventions.
They're taking it to Hong Kong next, and they're looking for feedback right now because they have a demo that's working. They're well funded, so they're ready to make something. And it's a really interesting thing because compared to a lot of augmented reality demos that we've seen, which seem like a tip of the iceberg, but not near production ready, especially for a consumer device, this is a consumer ready experience. That all it needs to be done is to flesh it out.
Yeah, and this is an AR. It's still VR.
That's
you're talking early technology.
I'm just saying about things that haven't been done yet.
Sure.
So this is, I mean, to be fair, the Void, it has launched to the public. You can go see them, but they're only in 2 locations. And we can't wait to do that. But this was our first taste of it. So new company doing this. The idea is you take a space, you design a narrative experience in 3D, then you put that into VR, and then you construct an environment out of like not plywood but materials that match one-to-one that 3D space. So with the VR headset on, you can walk in there, you're one-to-one tracked, and you can feel virtual reality. You can reach out, feel every wall, feel every table, feel every window, feel underneath tables, open drawers, open doors, everything's tracked. You have a flashlight, you have weapons, and things happen, and it's amazing. It's truly next level stuff.
Multiplayer experience too. Could you interact?
Not multiplayer.
Not yet.
Not multiplayer.
But
okay,
they're heading that way. So yeah, look, I can't wait to share that episode of Projections with you guys. This was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think that's it. Anything else you want to talk about in terms of VR? We have a couple things coming out. Star Trek Bridge Crew is coming out next week.
Oh, you won't be here for that.
I won't be here. I'll be traveling, and I won't be able to bring my full VR rig, unfortunately, on the airplane to multiplayer over. I wish I could.
Yeah.
We also have coming out early June the new Vive accessories, the deluxe audio headset, and the Vive tracker. So we'll be looking to do coverage on those as well. And we always want to meet more people working in the VR space. So whether you're a developer working in hardware or software, and if you're doing something interesting, even if you've shipped a product, haven't shipped a product, reach out. We'd love to check out your demo or just have a conversation about the things that you've learned, because you guys are the ones making the content, shipping out VR experiences, and the ones that have the most to learn from in terms of VR.
Cool.
You guys been testing anything?
Yeah, I got one thing.
Testing this week. Hey, what have you guys been testing?
Well, we're about to shoot a video with the Cinder, which is like a George Foreman meets a sous vide cooker, kitchen top counter appliance. It's okay. It's just too big for my countertop to be a regular thing, but it cooks some things really, really well. We're about to eat well in a second, Norm. And I've been trying out Android O Developer Edition for the last week. First, I want to apologize. I got some things wrong about Google I/O last week, especially the fact that the Qualcomm Snapdragon processor in the VR headset is the same processor that's in the S8. I just shouldn't be allowed to talk about Android stuff the day it comes out. I gotta reflect on things and get my numbers right. Android O after a week. It's developer, so things are buggy and a little unstable. I just want to say the notification stuff is great. Battery life is something that's still coming through the Google Vitals thing, and there's a Google Play Protect that's still coming that hasn't come out yet, so I can't say anything about that. So really everything is about there's a different shade in terms of the notification tray. There's some improvements on that, and it's supposed to manage battery life better through this TensorFlow Lite situation. I thought it was pretty snappy. I had some bugginess as you get with some of the developer editions, like switching between apps. They're supposed to be integrated YouTube picture-in-picture, so you can minimize a YouTube video and it plays as a small window on the bottom of your screen as you do other things. All of that seems pretty good.
That's
so
what
far.
YouTube app does on iOS, has for a long time. Does it do that on Android?
But this is supposed to be integrated into the OS now. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think you need YouTube Plus on the iOS.
YouTube Red.
YouTube Red, that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which comes free with YouTube TV.
How about that? Hey,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Jeremy, we had a question for you from a fan. People wanted to know, where do you get your awesome T-shirts.
Oh yeah, I actually replied to somebody on YouTube. YouTube comments about that.
Yeah.
Recently, the two I've gotten comments on, I got from
Space Invaders?
the Space Invaders one, and I forget, a Star Wars one maybe. I got them from designedbyhumans.com. Or Designed by Humans.
That was my question.
That's where I got my shirt.
I got my question asked. That was my question about your T-shirts.
Surprise! The question came from inside the room.
Who is this guy over here that's been quiet this whole time?
It's like a Warcraft guy?
No, it's from Immortal Mass. It's been on the set forever, guys. I don't know if you guys have noticed. You don't watch the
We're
video.
supposed to look behind us?
Yeah,
at
I
some
guess
point?
not. We took him out last week because we had the Neo Lucida guy come in and use that as a dummy on the table to sketch.
It's a silicone mask, so it's really creepy to touch.
Yeah, it's the same thing that Creepy Fig's made out of. Actually made by the same, manufactured by the same person, the same people, Immortal Mass. It's really nice.
Frank made that, though.
Frank sculpted that, but it was cast up in
Oh.
silicone by the company.
Oh, cool. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, they specialize in making the masks.
I haven't built anything. I haven't tested much, but I did finally receive my Bandai model LED kit, which I'm kind of
Ooh.
geeking out about.
This is
cool.
Sweet.
So Norm suggested I pick up one of these Bandai snap together Star Wars kits from The
Yes.
Force Awakens, which I did at Silicon Valley Comic-Con. Got the Millennium Falcon, which has the ability to incorporate a lighting kit sold by Bandai.
Oh, it is sold by Bandai.
It
I
is.
didn't realize.
But it only has 2 LEDs on it, and you have to choose what you want to light. Do you want to light the cockpit? Do you want to light the engines? Do you want to light the
Boo!
the-
Only one of
the
those?
hatch? Yeah, you can split them up, but it's very limited. This LED kit is sold out of the UK from a site called Turidium Models. If you search for Bandai TFA Millennium Falcon lighting kit, I'm sure you'll get it. It's always out of stock. You sign up to be notified. Costs €25, and it lights everything. Has fiber optics in it to light the cockpit. The cabin.
Oh,
It's fiber optics.
fiber optics.
Yeah.
That means the engine's going to look really good.
The engine's got its own LEDs that go out the back. The exit ramp is lit. It's going to be great. So hopefully we'll do a Let's Build with this.
Yeah, I would love to. Those kits are so fun to build. Speaking of content for our premium community, we have a new episode of Bits to Atoms out this week. This is Thermal Detonator Part 2, the casting.
The great finale.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Kishore, for the use of your backyard.
Thanks to Frank for the mold. Like, everyone got involved on that project.
Man,
Totally.
those marshmallows
Just
look so
incredible.
good.
Incredible work by
I'm-
you two.
I
You
might
and
owe you some money. I'm sure I bet you that nobody would mention the state of your lawn.
Sean. It definitely came up quickly. Thank you, tested subscribers. I won a bet that way.
And we have more projects coming up and videos coming up for our site, of course, on YouTube as well. Any last shout-outs?
Oh, we should call out to the fact that Norm will not be here the next 3 weeks.
That's right.
And the inmates are in charge of the asylum.
Oh, boy.
So 400 and you're done. Get out of here.
No, I'm back in 404 at least. 404. That's a good number to come back.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We already have one guest scheduled for next week. We have a friend that you will all be very familiar with who has a problem with squirrels in his backyard.
Chloe Bananas.
We'll find some guests. If you have suggestions for guests that you'd like to see either back on the show or people in the San Francisco Bay Area that we haven't featured before, just let us know.
I say Neil deGrasse Tyson, so you guys can have it out.
Whoa. Starting some beef.
I think you sort of think that we haven't had it out before.
And I will be listening to the podcast. Please make sure to leave appropriate times where you think I would chime in so I can mentally chime in. I'll be taking notes and coming back. I'm going on my honeymoon, and if people have suggestions, I have had no time to plan whatsoever, unfortunately. Suggestions for places to go in either London, Paris, Amsterdam, or Prague,
Nothing
Please
to do in any of those places.
hit me up on Twitter or send me an email, and I would love to take your suggestions.
Can we follow your adventures on Twitter? What do you think?
Probably. I'll
Little
probably
bit?
be tweeting.
All right.
Yeah. I'll probably be tweeting some photos.
Don't read your email.
Yeah, don't read your email.
I don't read email. I absorb it. It's through osmosis. Yeah. And that does it this week for our 400th episode. Haven't done the math. It's been about, 7 years of podcasting. We'll see you at 401, 402 and so on. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you guys for joining me. Any things you want to promote, projects? You guys are on Twitter at Jareware and at Science Quiche. And anything else?
No, I'm just up to my usual shenanigans.
Hi there, I didn't see you. Tested.
My hot dog sucks. Jeremy's laughing at my hot dog.
That's actually a really good hot dog.
All right.